How are you doing, guys? And welcome back to Friday Fuel, brought to you by the Wild Faith Podcast. So grab that cup of coffee and let's get into it. I wanted to go back the last time I spoke with this is, the wilderness just keeps showing up in the Bible. And I think that's important because it's not just a backdrop. It's where men go to meet God. Moses, Elijah, John the Baptist, Jesus. Right after being baptized, before he preached a single sermon, healed a single person, or called a single disciple to follow him, he was led by the Spirit into the wilderness. Not forced, not tricked, led. Now, I don't know about you, but when I hear that, it makes me stop and think. We spend so much of our lives trying to avoid the wilderness, those hard seasons, the quiet, the struggle. But what if those are the places that God leads us to on purpose? Lent is kind of like the wilderness. It's kind of a wilderness season. It's 40 days of stripping things away, of sacrificing and refocusing our faith. The world tells us that we need more money, more comfort, more distractions, but Lent says, nah, let's go into the wilderness for a bit. Let's remember what really matters. And that's why fasting is a part of Lent. Not because we're trying to prove something, but because when we take things out of our life, it makes more room for God to come into it. Jesus went 40 days without food. The devil came after him when he was at his weakest, and yet he stood firm. Not by his own strength, but by the word of God. And let's be honest, life feels like the wilderness sometimes. Some of you are out there grinding every single day, trying to provide for your family. You're exhausted. You feel like you can't do everything right, and it's never enough. That's the wilderness. Some of you are dealing with battles that nobody else sees. Anxiety, depression, doubt, addiction, temptation. You feel like you're out there in the wild, completely alone. But let me remind you of something. You're never alone. Jesus went before you. He stepped into the wilderness first. He walked that road, faced those struggles, and came out victorious on the other end. And because of him, you can too. Psalm 37 verse 23 and 24 say, "The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand." We've talked about this on the podcast before, and I absolutely love that psalm because it says, you may stumble, but you're not going to fall. Not because you're strong, but because God is holding you up. That's what this season is about. Not just giving things up, but gaining something greater. Strength, endurance, and most importantly, a deeper faith. So if you're in the wilderness right now, don't run from it. Lean into it. Seek God in it because it's often in those quiet, hard places that he speaks the loudest. And when you come out on the other side, you will be stronger. Ready for the fight, ready for the calling that God has for your life. So keep going. Keep praying. Keep fighting the good fight because the wilderness isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning. Thanks for hanging out with me this week on Friday Fuel. We'll see you next time.